Our theme for the month is Church on Monday. Really be the church on Monday and every day of the week, not just Sunday at 10 o'clock. And Sunday, I preached a message entitled Responding Like Jesus. I've probably been wise to just hand everybody a copy of, I think it's In His Steps by Charles Sheldon, the What Would Jesus Do resource. But in any case, we studied Luke chapter 10 and talked about how we can respond like Jesus and how we should respond like Jesus, not like the devil. And I know I'm guilty of responding like the devil far too often. I guess any times is too often. But anyway, Russ, help us to dig a little deeper along these lines.
Well, it was interesting this week. Normally, many months ago, I used to have my stuff written by Sunday afternoon, and recently I used to tend to have it written by Monday morning. And this week I really kind of struggled, and I didn't really write anything till Isaac was in bed last night. Maybe there's a reason for that, maybe there wasn't, but I was going through all the points you made on YouVersion, and the one which I honed in on is let me read the point to you from your sermon. It was life can't present you with challenges for which there is no revelation. And I mean this fits in, I think, with your whole topic this month. What do I think our biggest challenge as a church is? I mean, obviously this may be subjective, but from my point of view, but I think the biggest challenge any church faces, any believer faces, is going to be spiritual apathy. And that's a really generic thing to say. So let's dig into that and hopefully not be too stabby with it. A lack of drive to pursue God and His Word. What I've come to call Sunday Christianity. Christian consumerism. Church is just, I think there's a fault. I don't think you can put a fault with just the people that fall into this. You have to put it with the churches as well, because there's been a drive towards church that is more of something to sit and watch than anything else. And I don't think that's what Jesus intended. What are the causes when people fall into this? I was thinking about this. I think there's several. This isn't exhaustive. In some of them, I'll be blunt, it's a complete lack of regeneration. It's I think I've accepted Christ. I think I'm going to heaven, but the reality is I'm deceived. In others, it's distraction. This world has so many distractions to pull you away. So much to keep you busy. You know, Satan doesn't have to make you denounce Christ. He just has to keep you busy enough with whatever else to stop you being effective. And I can see where I've fallen into that trap too in the past. I know I have. I almost fell away and destroyed my marriage a number of years ago because I let that start happening to me. But mostly, and some will disagree with me, but I believe there is a disconnect between the Bible and life. And that is exactly the point you made. I mean, let's look at here's two verses that everybody knows, okay? And everybody probably thinks they're deep. They are, they're really deep, but they're deeper than the deep people think they are, if that makes sense. In Psalm 119, verse 105, it says, your words are a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. We all know that one. In 2 Timothy 3:16-17, it says, all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine, reproof, correction, instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. But you got to look beyond the surface of these verses, and I keep challenging myself to do so. They sound deep and they sound spiritual, even on the surface, but the reality is, I mean, look at this first one in the Psalm. Your words are a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. When do you use a lamp? When it's pitch black. The Bible shows you where to step It doesn't show you where the major road turns are. It doesn't show you got to turn right on Interstate 12. I mean, it does, but that's the way most people view it. It shows you every foot in front of the other. And that's really what I think we need to get out of both of these verses. And this is the problem today with this disconnect, is that people don't see where the Bible meets them every day in every decision in every part of their life. And I've been guilty of this. And if you hold something out to someone as a solution and they don't see its effectiveness, they're not going to take it from you. But if you hold it out and prove its worth, you know, the next decision that comes into your head, the next thought you wrestle with, the next person you bump into today, this book is your guide. When people believe that, they move away from the Sunday stuff and they start doing what we're talking about, living the Bible every day. I think that's our biggest challenge these days. Most people have absolutely no idea where the Bible meets them in daily life. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've got a way to go, but I think this disconnect is one of the major causes. I mean, how do we address it? We've got to show people practically with the Bible guides them day to day. When they get this, I think the ones that are truly regenerated and are looking will start to believe it and live like it. Um, you know, one of the first things it tells us in the book of Acts is that the believers met every day. They broke bread every day. And you dig deeper into that, you can see that they fellowshiped together every day. They edified each other every day. You know, the things that happened to them were still fresh in their mind when they met with other believers and can share them and be edified and share wisdom. I think for our grace group verses, I think Psalm 119 be a good place to look at, verses 1 to 6. This, you know, it talks about walking in the ways of the Lord. And our 5 questions: how would you explain these verses in your own words? What do they tell us about God? What do they tell us about people? How can you apply these words to your life? And who are you going to tell about it?
You know, as you were speaking, I was reminded of a conversation I had with a pastor yesterday. His daughter's dating a man who's Eastern Orthodox. And there's actually been a quiet departure from evangelical churches, I should say. And a lot of them in this Exodus have gone to the Eastern Orthodox. And he was talking about why this is the case. And a lot of it is what you said. People see Christianity as just something that they come in, they sit, they observe, they critique, and they go home. And they're done with it till the next Sunday. And so they go to Eastern Orthodox, for example, and there's things to do. There's liturgy. There you sit down, you stand up, you repeat this, you participate in communion every week or whatever else. And they sit, so it soothes their conscience. They feel like now they've done something.
Yeah.
And of course, that's a false solution.
Yeah.
Not saying that there are no Christian Eastern Orthodox. That's not my point. But obviously, the solution is to serve every day and to let Christ live through you at all times. Sunday really should be a pep rally and, you know, kind of triage and medical care, spiritual medical care. Then we go out and function as the church the rest of the week. So the idea that just Sunday is the end of our Christian work, of course, is very foreign to the scriptures. And I think there's also a vast chasm between you've got professional Christians. I say that tongue in cheek. That's me. Professional Christians. And in our church, a small group of extremely involved volunteers. And then you've got everybody else who's just kind of there. And so obviously there needs to be a merging of those two groups and a handing off of some of the rest to this group and a handing off of some of the responsibility to the other group. But there's a constant adjustment that needs to be made in all churches at all times. And of course, the scripture says to those who are overworked. Be not weary in well doing. In due season you will reap if you faint not. But yes, good points, Russ. So much more that we could say. Anyway, thank you for your thoughts on this today.